Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this Sunday night, Christmas. Hope everybody had a great holiday. And we're going to focus our attention on one storm that's going on around the country, and that is the one in the Plain States that's producing blizzard warnings tonight across the Dakotas. And we have also some winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories, ice storm warnings. You can see the extent of those advisories here. This is as of 8 p.m. When we move the time to tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., we're going to see that these warnings are going to change a little bit as we start to get into some more, wind advisories, and then some of the other winter storm warnings come down. So by morning, there still will be some blizzard warnings up left for the western parts of South Dakota and pretty much all of North Dakota with a blizzard watch in the southeast corner. You got winter storm warnings up over through Minnesota. Now, in the east, we have freezing rain advisories that are posted up for Pennsylvania, including south central Pennsylvania, on up into northwestern New Jersey through 8 a.m. And then those advisories will then expire as we go through the day, and then new advisories will go up as we go into parts of upstate New York. They also start to extend into parts of western New England. This is a warm front that's coming up from the south. And then gradually, of course, as that warm air takes over, the area with the advisories diminishes. So what's happening is that we have this storm that's out in western Nebraska that's moving northward, and you can see the trailing warm front here right in there. You got a big high up in eastern Canada that's built down the coast, but there's not a whole lot of cold air with that. But at the bottom part of the atmosphere, there is some cold air. So the NAM model does produce some freezing rain here during the morning hours in eastern Pennsylvania and parts of northwestern New Jersey. Sometimes the bottom level of the atmosphere can cool a little bit more than what the models say, but it's very warm aloft. So that's why you're seeing freezing precipitation that gradually just goes over to some rain showers. The front moves on through early on Tuesday, and then after that, as we go into Thursday, we've got some colder air coming down from the north, and the model does show a little low in northern Alabama that doesn't have a whole lot with it. That's kind of what the GFS is doing. The Europeans going a bit of a different, more aggressive route with that, but you can see on the GFS model that there really isn't too much with it. There's some showers that get generated here later in the day on Tuesday. So basically, you've got two systems, one in southeastern Canada, south of James Bay, with a trailing cold front, and that's right through here. There's the cold front, and then behind it, there's a shot of colder air. The coldest air is probably going to stay back over here. It's not all of it's going to go into the east. And as we move along, we get a shot of cold air into the east next weekend. It's a decent shot, but it's transitory as it moves out and the high goes off the east coast. And then we have another front that moves on through here next Sunday for New Year's. And behind that, the air really isn't all that cold. And I'll show you what happens. There is a lot of cold air that starts to build up as we go into the first week of January, and it's all back through here. Okay, there isn't really a whole lot of cold air at all in the eastern states at this point. But gradually, as we move through day 8 and 9, another storm is forecast by the GFS anyway to form a deep storm that goes into the Great Lakes. And it's with that one that we get in a pretty significant shot of cold air. There have been several model runs that keeps wanting to make a wave on this front from this particular system, a little wave that develops here and then moves northeast. And just as all this colder air starts coming in, this would be for the latter part of next week. It's done it for a few runs now. I don't know how real it is, but after that, it stays pretty cold with a couple of cold air masses coming down into the eastern states as we go through toward January 10th, if you want to believe it. But let me translate this in terms of what's going on aloft, because I think you'll get a better view of what's happening. Honestly, I'm kind of still a little confused as to how these models are evolving over time because of the fact that we're seeing so many different things go on from different models and different runs. Let me just back it up here, and we'll go to where we are now with this big ridge here in the east, and that kind of flattens out as this weather system comes through on Tuesday. Then you have that stronger system at the end of the week, and you've got a little vortex here, you got a vortex here. The flow is kind of snaking its way, colder air kind of snakes its way down from Canada, but the second vortex sort of limits how much cold air comes down with the first shot for later next week. So when that lifts out, then what the GFS does is, at least temporarily, it wants to bring that trough down into the west again. And you can see it here, but then it kind of broadens it out and takes it into the east. And at this point, as we go through the end of the period, we have a fairly cold flow that's established out of Canada that goes across into the northeast, and you've got these weather systems that are moving along in the Pacific jet. So, I think that we still have a long way to go in trying to resolve how this is all going to play out specifically. I mean, it looks to me that we still want to trend toward a colder look over time. Just how do we get there is the big question. One of the things the European does that is kind of interesting, if you look here, it did this yesterday. It does it to a lesser degree today, but it's still there. But you'll notice there's a big ridge here on the Pacific side, and you have a big ridge on the Atlantic side, and they kind of want to build across. There we go. They kind of want to build across the top and force the vortex further south. So this is a bit of a different look than the GFS has, but I got to say, the European has been so horribly inconsistent for a long time now. I just don't know how much confidence that I can have in all this as far as the longer term is concerned. To me, it looks like the models are going to go to, are continuing to show this idea that eventually we are going to turn colder here in the eastern part of the United States. But it's how we get there. The North Atlantic Oscillation is forecast to go negative, so that would infer blocking. The East Pacific Oscillation is also forecast to go negative, which would also be a driver for cold air. I always like when the EPO is negative. I'd rather have that than the NAO personally, but if you got them both, that's something that would be pointing to an overall cold pattern. Now, how long it stays like that, that's always the $1 million question here. So just we'll give you one last look tonight. I'll keep it short tonight. I know I say that sometimes and then it never winds up happening and I wind up going on and on. But you can see on the temperature profile above and below normal temperatures what happens here. Starting from the beginning, we're going into, this is today when we were above normal. We're above normal into Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, you get that first shot of below normal air comes in. Then it goes back up above normal for the first week of the new year before we start to see this gradual spreading of colder than normal temperatures throughout a good chunk of the country that will eventually work its way to the east. The European, by the way, only goes out 10 days. The GFS goes out 16. And you can see on the GFS that gradually from day 10 on through day 16, it stays pretty cold for most of the eastern part of the United States. So let's see what happens when it gets inside day 10, if it can hold this, or is it going to take us on another adventure tonight in a totally different direction? Who knows at this point. So it's the week that follows Christmas. It heads into New Year. I hope everybody again had a great Christmas. I look forward to New Year's. It's not a big holiday for me. I'm not a big New Year's fan, but that's just me. If it's you, if you like New Year's, enjoy yourselves very much. We'll be keeping you abreast of the weather all week long. Don't forget, download my app. Subscribe to my forecast for New York, New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, and the Hudson Valley for $1 a month. It helps me out a lot in keeping all this stuff going. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate that you guys are all on my YouTube page. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is absolutely free, and my YouTube videos will always be free.